Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we are reacting to a TikTok. This is more of a list style video, so instead of watching the whole thing like we usually do, I'm gonna go through it point by point and talk after each point, just so that we can follow along and stay together. So let's get into it. Okay, so the text on the screen says, if your boyfriend does these things, he's a loser.
If your boyfriend does any of these things, he is a loser. Sorry, not sorry, but someone needs to tell you. One of the easiest ways to tell the type of man that somebody is by looking at his Instagram following. If it's Lana Rhodes and Peace stars in general, you know right off the bat the type of men you're dealing with. Any high value man or someone that's just not a loser and that is worth putting time and energy into if you want a serious relationship doesn't lust over other women online. That's loser shit.
Okay, starting off strong. You know what? I agree with her here, and I think most women would if they're being real. Is a man evil for following attractive women? No. But if you're in a committed relationship and his entire feed is nothing but explicit creators, half-naked Instagram models, and sexual content, that does tell you a little something something. And if I can be honest for a minute, I think even if you're not in a relationship, it can still reveal a lot about a guy. It tells you where his attention is going. It tells you what he prioritizes. It tells you what kind of stimulation he's used to. And when you're in a relationship, it absolutely affects how connected and desired the woman in the relationship is going to feel. And I think this is more of a standards and respect thing, much more than a jealousy thing. I simply wouldn't want to be with someone who gave his attention to any sort of content like this. I've said this before in so many other videos, but I think the content that you consume and the people that you follow is incredibly important. And I think it says way more about you than you even probably realize or would like to admit. So if I were a woman and I was talking to a guy and I looked at who he was following on Instagram and the entire feed of people was like what she mentioned, you know, porn stars, sexually explicit Instagram baddies, I would just not be interested. I wouldn't want to be with someone who was entertaining that type of content because it would tell me a lot about where his attention was going, and I'm not interested in that. So I would say even if you're not in a relationship, red flag. And I will say, I do agree that this is loser behavior.
Another way you can immediately tell if a man is a loser is if he gets his mom highly involved in your relationship, okay? This is a touchy subject and some of you aren't ready to hear it, but it's true. If he has to run to his mother over every argument that you guys have, or he's emotionally dependent on this woman, which is so bad. Number one red flag right there.
I would not in any way say that this is the number one red flag. I think there's way worse, but I do agree. And I think there's a big difference between a man who has a very healthy relationship with his mom and a man who can't function emotionally without her input. I think it's wonderful when a man has a healthy relationship with his mom. I've seen women say other things, and I think that's kind of weird. Don't you want the person that you're with to hopefully have a healthy relationship with both of their parents? Like, that's kind of the goal. That means that the parent did a good job raising their child. But being emotionally dependent on them and it being sort of like an enmeshed relationship or enmeshed family is a bit of a different story. If you are in a relationship and every disagreement that you have sends him straight to his mom for validation or comfort, I think there's some enmeshment going on here that I would not feel comfortable with. And that's not even just because it's his mom. I don't think it's healthy to involve other people in your relationship all the time. I think some things should just stay between the two of you. I don't think airing your dirty laundry to family and friends or people on the internet is a good thing or a green flag. I would consider that a red flag as well. So I think running to anyone to solve your problems for you instead of you sitting down with the person that you're with and figuring it out together is not the best. So yeah, agree.
If the word simping is in his vocabulary, he's such a simp for getting you flowers. Like this type of language is disgusting and immediately tells me that the man is a fucking loser. Courting a woman these days is now seen as simping. So it's like, no wonder why women don't have respect for you and the bar is in hell.
Yeah, you know, men calling kindness simping is one of the saddest trends I've seen on the internet. Being thoughtful is not a bad thing. Considering the person you're with and doing nice things for them is not simping. Getting the woman that you're dating some flowers on her birthday is not simping. And I think this whole pretend you don't care about the person that you're with movement has definitely contributed to the problem. Caring about someone isn't simping, especially when you are dating the person. I think it's different if, you're lusting after a woman online who you've never met and you're, saying all these things and you're sending her money. I would consider that simping. But if you're just doing kind, regular boyfriend things for the girl that you're dating, that is not simping. And if you're someone who thinks that because you've watched all these toxic alpha males online, let's come back down to earth, okay?
Look, this video is obviously bagging a lot on men. And the truth is, a lot of women deserve it too. Like, us as women need to be more accountable for who we're allowing and what we're allowing and how we're teaching people to treat us, yes. But that's a whole nother video. If he has very, very strong opinions on your makeup or your clothes, okay, he shouldn't have tried to pursue you then. That's definitely a control issue. It's really not about the makeup or the hair. It's a control issue. It's an insecurity issue.
Yeah, the sort of controlling behavior disguised as opinions, I would agree here. And I've always kind of had the mindset of, if you don't like these things about someone and you knew they were like that, or they dress this way, or they did their makeup this way before you were even together, or while you were talking, before you were dating, you shouldn't have dated her in the first place. If she was, I don't know, wearing skimpy outfits, posting half naked online while you were talking to her, you kind of knew what you were signing up for. And for a lot of men, whether you want to admit it or not, that's probably why you were attracted to her. But my point is, if you don't like something about someone when you were talking to them before you were even dating, why are you dating them? I think a lot of us get into relationships thinking, oh, well, it'll be different when we're dating or when we're married, or they'll change, I can fix them, I can change that about them. No. If you would not accept that person as they are right now, with their makeup done the way that they're wearing it, with their outfit the way that they're wearing it, you shouldn't date them. If you have a problem with those things, maybe that person is just not right for you. And that's okay. But I think we need to be honest about that instead of trying to be controlling and change these things about someone once we've already started dating them. And to sort of go back to the first point of this video, I would say the same thing to girls who get in relationships with guys who are following a ton of naked girls on Instagram and then get mad about it later. You saw his Instagram following when you were talking to him. You saw that he was following all these Insta baddies, and now you're mad about it? You knew what you were signing up for. You can't change people. People have to want to change themselves. It's really that simple.
This one isn't always true, but it is, I would say, 90% true. If this man mentions the word alpha male and it's in his vocabulary, there's a 90% chance that that man is a loser. The reality on women has been completely warped. I promise you, you're almost always going to deal with a lot of bullshit from this type of person. Peacefully depart when you start to hear that type of language.
The good old alpha male vocabulary. My goodness, yes. I've said this so many times. It is cringe. If you are something, you don't need to tell people. And I think it is really as simple as that. I think well-adjusted, confident men do not need to call themselves alphas. They just move like leaders and they're good partners naturally, and they don't need to announce it to the world. Okay? I see a lot of men like this online specifically. I have never personally met anyone who uses this kind of language in real life. I think it's a very chronically online thing to do. So if I were to meet someone and they started spewing words like this to me, I would just think, you need to get off the internet. And that's coming from someone who spends a lot of time on the internet. But like, whoa, stop calling yourself an alpha male, the high value man, high value women. I mean, I see this a lot too with women doing it. You know, I'm a high value woman and I don't accept a coffee or walk date. Okay. You just sound dumb. Again, I see this from men and women and it's cringe on both sides. Ugh. No thanks.
If his text messages are always wiped, say, oh, I just don't like to keep it storage. No. Like, I have messages from 10 years ago on my phone, okay? Literally. You will never catch me just wiping my phone. Watch out for that.
Wiping text messages. You know, there could be innocent explanations, but let's be real. If he is deleting everything consistently, especially while he's dating you, it's at least worth paying a little bit of attention to. I don't think most people clean out their texts daily. Patterns sort of matter here. Now, I will say, I am always out of storage in my phone. I take so many photos and videos, and I'm like always editing little things, and I have taken so many photos and videos of my cats that my storage is just always full. So I'm always kind of deleting things. I actually have it set up on my phone to where I think my texts delete after either 30 days or 6 months or something like that. There's a way you can go in and like change your settings. But again, if They are consistently deleting things from a person that you've maybe not liked them talking to, or, I think you can just kind of tell when people are being shady. Do I want you to read into every little thing? No. And for the men watching, I don't want you to do that either. I think it's unhealthy to be like paranoid about every little thing. And honestly, if you get to a point where you're overly paranoid and you're like checking their phone and doing all these things, should you even be together? The answer is probably no, because you clearly don't trust them. And I think trust is really important in a relationship. Now, if they've done something to make you not trust them, that's different than you maybe being paranoid because of a last relationship you were in. So there's so much nuance here. But I think you can usually tell when people are being shady. Use your best judgment.
Last but not least, easiest way to tell if your boyfriend's a loser, if he completely changes his whole personality around his friends. It's because they're all just trying to stroke each other's ego, even at the cost of their own girlfriends. And not only is that man a loser, but his friends are losers, because you just know they're all doing the same thing to each other. They only care about each other's validation. They just want to look cool to each other. And that's like, but it's giving gay, okay? At least like come out and be proud. If your boyfriend does any of these things, I'm sorry, but he's a loser. You might hate me now, but you will thank me later.
Yeah, completely changing around his friends. I would say I agree with this one too. I think if someone's entire personality shifts when they're around certain people, even if it's not their friends, it usually means he's insecure around them, he's putting on a sort of performance, or he cares more about the validation from his friends than your relationship. Or if it is his friends, if they encourage disrespectful behavior, I don't think any of those are necessarily good signs. And I do think the people that you choose to surround yourself with is incredibly important. So you should choose wisely. Who a person keeps as company says a lot about them as well, whether you like that or not. Again, especially if it's people that you can choose to be in your life. Like, we can't choose things like who our family is, right? We can't choose who our mom and our dad are. So if they aren't the best, or they don't have a good relationship with them, or maybe they act different around them, I think that can be different. But if it's people that you're choosing to have in your life, I think that can be different as well. Also, I will say something that she didn't mention that this little point made me think of is when someone is, or when your significant other is mean to you, or sort of like makes fun of you in front of other people, or talks bad about you to other people, I think that's loser behavior. Like, they kind of make you the butt of the joke, or they make you feel stupid, they make you look bad. If they're doing this consistently, I've always just thought that is really icky. I don't like to be around couples who do that. I don't like to be around people who do that in general, even if it's like a friend group. I think people who do this are just mean. It's very icky to me, and it's loser behavior. So I would add that as well. So yeah, typically I think calling men losers is a little dramatic and unnecessary, but the actual behaviors that she listed, well, most of them do indeed point to emotional immaturity, insecurity, and patterns that aren't the best long term. They were all giving loser behavior. Some of the videos that I see online call men losers for things like not spending a ton of money on a first date, or not paying for your nails every 2 weeks, or your rent. So this one was definitely much better than those. And I also like that she briefly mentioned that there are absolutely loserish things that women do as well. We could do an entire video about that, because that absolutely applies as well. Again, I think it's more about loser behavior rather than calling people losers altogether. I don't love that. Again, I'm a person though who really tries to look at the nuance. I understand that not everything is black and white, and at the end of the day, you're the one dating the person, not me. So if you don't think something is loser behavior, well, that's your deal. Doesn't affect me. So that is all I have for this one. If you liked it or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to be in the loop for when I release new content. I would love to hear from you guys down in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are some other things you think men do that are loser behavior? What are some things women do that you think are loser behavior? Would love to hear from you guys down below. If you haven't already, also be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Courtney Christine Ryan. I love connecting with all of you guys over on there as well. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.